Okay, here I have AutoCAD up and our tolerating problem worksheet. And what we're going to do is figure out how to create these dimension styles so our dimensions look like what we see here in part 1. So the first dimension has no tolerance. That's just our standard dimension style. The second dimension has a bilateral plus and minus tolerance. So that means that it's the same on both sides. It's plus 0.005 and minus 0.005. The next one has a variance of a unilateral tolerance with no tolerance on the minus side and all the tolerance on the plus side. And the opposite is true for D. There's all the tolerance, the 0.005 is on the minus side, and there's no tolerance on the plus side. And on E, we have a bilateral unequal tolerance where there's plus 0.003 and minus 0.005. And F, you see that this is a limit tolerance. You're given the upper limit and the lower limit, and you're not really given the basic size of the drawing. Any of these can be found on your drawings, so we need to learn how to do all of those. So we're going to toggle over to CAD, and we're going to go ahead and create our block. Now there's no dimensions for this block except for the 4, so we're going to make it 4 by 2 just to make it look okay. So I'm going to click on the rectangle, I'm going to click to start my corner, and I'm going to type in Shift 2 for the ampersand symbol, and at a distance of 4, 2, which would be my X and Y. So 4, 2, enter. And then I have my box. Okay, the next thing that we want to do is hatch this box. You can see we've got hatch marks. So we're going to click on the hatch button right here in our draw toolbar. And once we click on that, we'll come up with a hatch window. Now you have all these predefined patterns. By default, the ANSI 31 pattern is listed here, which is the most commonly used in our section views. So we don't need to change our pattern. If you did need to change it, you could click here and choose one. If you wanted to see what they look like, you can click here and it shows you each of the patterns and what they look like. So we're just going to cancel that. We're going to use our default pattern. We don't need to change the scale or the angle. By default, it already goes 45 degrees in this direction, like as you see in the preview. If you wanted it to go straight up and down or opposite angle, then you can change that right here. To get our hatch to display on our drawing, we're going to choose Add Pick Points, where we pick an internal point. So we're going to click on that. We come back to our screen and we're going to click inside of our rectangle. And you can see it highlights it, so those are the boundaries. We're going to right click, choose enter, and our window pops back up. We're going to hit OK, and then it automatically displays our hatch lines for us. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and do the dimensions. And I'm going to make this window a little bit smaller so I'll have more room on my drawing screen. Okay, my goal here is to get my dimension toolbar to show up. Okay, we almost have that. Okay, this little part here is what I want to show you, and let me just toggle this over so we'll have some more room. Okay, on your screen you can have your toolbars however you want to, and I'm just changing mine because I want this to show up in a smaller screen. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is go ahead and place a linear dimension on this box. So we're going to click on linear dimension and click on our endpoints, and we're going to come up and it's going to display 4.000. Okay, we need 3 decimal places because that's what it calls for, and decimal places and the ANSI, ANSI standard, we call for 2 decimal places unless the tolerance specifies otherwise. So in this case, we have a 3 decimal place tolerance, so we should use 3 decimal places on all of our numbers. To change that, we're just going to simply go to Format, Dimension Style, and you guys already know how to do this because you've done a setup before. We started with our standard, so we're going to simply modify that, and we're going to choose primary units, and we're going to choose on our precision 3 decimal places. Okay, we're going to suppress the leading 0 if you haven't already. Now if you've started with a ANSI template, say the ANSI A or B or C template, then that's probably already suppressed. If you haven't started with a template, then you may not have a setup ready. So let's go through that just as a refresher. We're going to click on lines. Extend beyond dim lines is 0.125, and symbols and arrows, we're going to choose line for our center mark, and on our arrow size we're going to choose 0.125. And then we're going to go over to text, and our text height should be 0.125. And if you've already changed your text in your text style box, that will be darkened in and you won't be able to change it. Okay, and we've already changed our primary units to 3 decimal places, and our leading 0 is suppressed. And we're going to hit OK on that, and we're going to hit close. Alright, so it changed it a good bit, as you can see, changed our letter height and all of our other entities, and that's what we want for our standard. Okay, to get the next one, we have to create a new dimension style, because if we don't create a new dimension style, then it takes the place of what we have already. We want this 4 to stay here, but we also want to show these others. So we're going to go to Format, Dimension Style, and we're going to say New. And we want to make sure Standard is highlighted because we want to make a copy of that standard. Instead of saying copy of standard, we want to be pretty specific in our naming, and we probably want to put our number there, because you may have more than one equal bilateral tolerance where it's equal on both sides, a plus and a minus. So this one's 0.005, but you may have one that's 0.001 or 0.003. So we want to be pretty specific in our name. So right here in our name, we're going to do plus, minus 0.005. And you can name it whatever you want to name it. Whatever you can remember is what you should put on there. And then we're going to start with our standard, because we already changed that to match the ANSI standards, and we're going to hit continue. Okay, it comes back up. We shouldn't have to change anything in here. The only thing we really should have to change is these alternate units and our tolerances. Alternate units you only use if you want to display the metric and English equivalent on your drawing. We're not actually going to change any of that. We're going to just use the English equivalent, what we have showing already. So we're going to go over here to tolerances. On this tolerance, we said we had the same on both sides, so we're going to put symmetrical, meaning it's going to be the same on both sides, and you can see from our preview how it's going to look. Well, our upper value is going to be 0.005, and our lower value, you can see, is shaded in because it knows it's going to be the same on both sides. And we also, you can just barely see here, there's a 0.000. We don't want that leading 0 to show, so we're going to suppress that leading 0, and it cleans it up a little bit, and we're going to hit OK. Now this time we have a new dimension style on the side here. It's already highlighted, but in order for us to draw in that dimension style, for our dimensions to come up, we need to set that current. So we're going to click on that and make sure it's highlighted and hit set current, and then we're going to close. Now you can see, this is why I wanted your dimension bar to show up, it's because you can see all of your dimension styles loaded right here in your dimension bar, and that's not something that you can just see right here in your regular ribbon. So if you don't have the dimension toolbar open, that's not readily accessible. Alright, so if we choose linear dimension now, we can click on that and just create that same dimension again. Okay, the next dimension we want to make has all of the tolerance on the positive side. So we're going to go back to Format, Dimension Style, and we're going to click on Standard again, because we always want to start with our standard, and that way we don't have those other tolerances in there and it doesn't get so confusing. So we're going to click on Standard, say New, and it's going to come up with Copy of Standard again, where we're just going to put maybe plus 0.005 and minus 0.000. And then we're going to hit Continue and go over to the tolerances again, and we're going to do deviation, and our precision is still 3 decimal places. Our upper value is going to be 0.005 and our lower value is going to be 0. We're also going to suppress that leading 0, and then we're going to hit OK, and we're going to click on that, hit Set Current, and close. Then we'll come back and choose linear dimension, and it creates what we need to see. It's got all the tolerance on the plus side, nothing on the minus sign, and it's always going to put this plus and minus there. I know it doesn't have it in your picture over here, but it actually should be there. Okay, then we're going to go back to Format, Dimension Style. Instead of using the pull down menu, I think you're probably ready just to choose the button here. We're going to click Dimension Style. It's the same window that comes up, and we're going to click on Standard again and create New, and this time we're going to put plus 0.000 and minus the 0.005. And if you get really specific in your numbers here, it's going to be a lot easier later. You guys are going to do this bottom drawing next, and it's going to be easier for you to create that, because some of these are the same type of tolerance, they just got the different numbers like we talked about. So I'm going to hit Continue. This time we're going to choose deviation again. Upper value is going to be 0, lower value is going to be 0.005. And we're going to suppress the leading 0, and we're going to hit OK. And we're going to make sure that is highlighted, and we're going to hit Set Current, close, and just create that next linear dimension. Alright, the next one, we'll go back to Dimension Style, and we've got an unequal dimension. We're going to click Standard, click New, and maybe plus 0.003 minus 0.005, and we're going to hit Continue. Again, it's the same method, deviation, and we'll just put the 0.003 in the top, 0.005 in the lower, suppress that leading 0, hit OK, make sure that it's set current, and close. And then we'll create that linear dimension. And we've got one more, and this is a little bit different. It is a limits dimension. So the first one we use symmetrical method, and these last 3 we have used a deviation method, and this one will be different as well. This one will use the limits. So we're going to click on Standard, say New, and we're going to put limit, and I'm going to put 0.005, and that's going to tell me my limits are going to go from my basic size up 0.005 and down 0.005, and you can type in whatever you want to here. And we're going to hit Continue. In Tolerances tab, we're going to choose Limits, and then our upper value is going to be 0.005, and our lower value is going to be 0.005. Okay, we're going to suppress that leading 0, and we're going to hit OK, and we're going to make sure that's set current. We can create that linear dimension, and it does the math for us. So the moral of the story here is you always want to draw at your basic size and then create your dimension styles around that basic size. So sometimes we would need to take the average. If we saw this as our dimension, we would need to take the average of that to find our basic size. And that's why you have worksheets later on that show you how to do all of that, and that's why we are practicing it in this class. So that is your dimension style setup. On the next drawing, you will create this object, and you're going to draw it at basic size, and you're going to go in and create your dimension styles to match these tolerances. And when you put dimensions on them, you need to have those dimension styles current. So it's good practice to go in and look at those and practice setting them up so you'll be able to do it for later. And that's kind of what this video was for.